Hey, let's talk a little bit about lawnmower safety over here. One of the things that we have to really concern ourselves with is the gasoline aspect of it. I don't know if you know this or not, but 1 gallon of gasoline equals that to about 33 sticks of dynamite. Whoa! Can you imagine? 33 sticks of dynamite? And there's usually no whole lot of protection in a gasoline can. 1 gallon gasoline cans usually come in these plastic containers. Once in a while you can find them in the metal ones nowadays, but for the most part everything's turned into these plastic containers. You have to be careful where you're going to store these containers as well. First off, you don't want to put them near any type of fire source. Now, what is a fire source like? How about a water heater? Yeah, keep it away from water heaters. You know, all this stuff is really all about just simplistic common sense. Okay, it's a really kind of a good thing that they've outlawed smoking in the United States, because if you're sloppy with a cigarette, you will be able to get those ashes to fall down into your gasoline. Kaboom! Yeah, not a pretty sight. The other thing is this: when you're working with your lawnmowers or your power equipment, you want to make sure that you fill the gas tank before you get started. The engine is cool that way. So fill it up before you get started, and don't fill it all the way to the top. Don't top it off. And there's a reason for that. You see, when you look at your gas cap has usually 1, 2, maybe 3 holes on the top of it. Those are air holes. It needs the air to exchange with the gasoline so that there isn't a buildup in the gas tank for, again, the kaboom factor. So be certain that you do that. Now, you don't overfill. The next thing is that you want to make sure that your engine isn't hot. You don't want to fill your gas up when it's hot. You don't want to fill your gas up. Yeah, fill your gas up when it's hot. Oh, almost forgot what we were talking about over here. You don't want to fill it up when it's hot. Very important. And again, you don't want to ever remove that cap on the gas tank while the engine is mowing. You know, there's a reason why. If you ever notice on a gas tank, the caps, they're not flat. They're usually in a conical kind of a shape, if you may, and they have that air gap in there, usually those little breather holes. So that's really important that you're going to do that. You also want to make sure that you use an approved container for gasoline, and your containers would be things they're usually red, and they'll say gasoline on the side. Don't use a plastic bottle. Don't use an old Sparkletts water bottle or anything like that. So that's important. Again, never smoke around near an engine. You shouldn't smoke anyhow. What's the matter with you? And then never store your gasoline in a building that doesn't have any type of circulation. Garages are usually good. It's actually best if you had a shed someplace to put it in. Now, there are rules and laws and regulations about how much gas that you can actually store in any one area. Usually it's no more than 5 gallons of gas, but you're going to have to check your local codes for something like that. So for those of you who are gathering them up in 55-gallon barrels, shame on you. You're not supposed to be doing that. You know, it just always boggles my mind that there are 700,000 injuries each year on lawnmowers, 20,000 a year with people on riding lawnmowers. And a lot of this stuff you think would be just common sense. You always want to make sure that you're in back of the lawnmower and never in front of it. Clear the area out. Make sure so that there's nothing in the way. Make certain that the chute, that side chute is pointed in an area where there's no cars, no windows, no kids, no people, no animals, no nothing like that. It's always best to use a bag clipper, a clipper catcher, I should say, a catcher on there if you're catching your clippings. If you're not, then you can take in. Lawnmowers are really kind of interesting because they will have nowadays what they call mulching capacities to them, where you have the chutes and you can actually block the chute off. So where if you're cutting and you have the right kind of lawnmower blade on there, it'll cut it and then it'll force the clippings back into the ground. That's a very common thing that's happening right now. When it comes to riding lawnmowers, of course, they really don't. Yeah, they do. I take that back. They'll have the side chute and they have the other as well. Sure. And then, but you have to remember that when you're on a riding lawnmower, you don't want to jump off of it while it's operating. You don't want to jump on it while it's in the on position as well. Riding lawnmowers are designed so that you sit inside the cockpit, you're sitting in that chair, you got your hands on the wheels, you turn the key on, boom, you're there, you're working. When you're done, you turn it off, you raise all the components on there. You're going to stop the engine, remove that key, get all the grass, get all the debris, all that kind of stuff out of there. The other thing is this: be careful and look at those pull cords. You want to make sure that you don't pull that cord too hard while you're pulling. Especially when we're talking about lawnmowers, they actually design it to where one foot is on top of the deck not at all time, but in the starting position. So you're going to have one foot on the deck, you're going to have one hand on your controls, and then your other hand is going to be in a pulling position. When you pull this thing like this, you're not going to pull it all the way out. You can break the cord, and there's a coil in there. Huge mess. Don't even go there. So you can take it and you're going to pull it like this to a certain degree. It's usually about 2/3 of the way, half to 2/3. And then if it don't start by the third pull, you got something wrong over here. You have to double check to make sure everything is right. When you're pushing a lawnmower, you want to go across the slope. You don't want to go down or push up. Always go across the slope. So all these little things here, you put them all together and they mount up to be a really big thing. Lawnmowers never can be unattended. You have to have them attended at all the time, especially when they're on. Always have a hand on the mower when it is on. So there you have it. That's the best way of making sure that your lawnmower is being operated as safely as possible. Check that gasoline. Check the wear and tear on it. Make sure you're mowing in the right directions and never leave it alone. And don't work on it while it's on. Keep your hands and fingers out. And if you have to work on it, unpull the spark plug. That's just, common sense.